Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. You can already see the title of this video, so I am not going to beat around the bush and I will just get down to the story. But guys, I need you to listen carefully to this story because what happened to me, it happens to so many people and we don't talk about it enough. Okay, a quick backstory guys. The first time I experienced full-on racism in this country, I mean, we experienced daily microaggressions. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about full-on racism. It was towards the end of my master's program. I was still on my student visa. As international students, we have 20 hours and all of that. So I was coming back from work. I get to the bus stop and my bus is like 5 minutes away. So I'm there waiting. And then I see a car approaching, and when they get close to me, they slow down. In my head, I'm thinking, okay, maybe this person is dropping someone off at the bus stop or something like that. The next thing I know is something is flying towards me, an empty bottle of water, and then they yell, "Go back to your country." And you know what's wild? I actually laughed because, first of all, do you want to pay for my flight ticket? No, you can't afford it. Then shut up. Honestly, this did not even get to me as much because imagine how jobless you have to be, how sad your life is for you to go around shouting and accosting random strangers. Like, no successful, happy person that has got something good going on in their life is going about doing that. Only low lives. So yeah, if you're one of those people that did that, take a good look at yourself because your life is trash. Get a job because you're not happy. Your life is sad. Your life is, you've got nothing going on for you. Anyway, you would hope that this was just a one-off and it would never happen again, but it did happen again. So fast forward to like a year later, I was working, trying to get that 10,000 steps. And a car drives by and then it like comes back and there were like 4 young guys in there and they all shouted like, "Go back to your country," and they used the N-word. At this point, I just rolled my eyes. Because can't you guys come up with something else, something new, something original? Because you're using the same material over and over again. It has gotten old. Be original.
Something to think about.
Some of you that like to defend nonsense are thinking, but you have a country, so that shouldn't hurt you. It did not hurt me because, yes, I do have a country. I am Nigerian. But the thing is, guys, these people did not know that. They only saw my skin color. They didn't know anything about me. So make no mistake, they were being racist. Because they did not care whether I was born here or not. If you look like me, then it's like, oh, welcome to attacking this person and saying something racist to them. Imagine if I was a black Brit, born and raised here, like my father was born and raised there, my mother was born and raised there, my grandparents were born and raised there. Imagine what that would feel like to be told you don't belong in the only home you've ever known. So those incidents were just surface level. The real discrimination, the one that messes with your mind, that happened in the workplace. So guys, I get a fixed temp job for 1 year. The organization is waiting for approval to make the role permanent. In the meantime, I'm doing the work, learning fast, staying late, doing overtime, covering for others, just to prove myself. And we had monthly evaluation and every one of my evaluation was positive. "You're doing great, Abiola. We're lucky to have you, Abiola. The team loves you. You're working really hard. We see that." And oh, did I mention, guys, that I was the only black person on the team? But I didn't think much of it because for people like me, for people like us, that's just reality. You are almost always the only black person in the room. Anyway, they finally get approval for a permanent role, and instead of just adjusting my contract or just transitioning me into the role, you know what they say? "Oh, you will have to reapply."
Wait, what?
Ugh. Mind you, I'm already doing the job, but okay, fine. I apply, I get shortlisted, we do the written and the spoken assessment. Now let me break it down. These are the same people I have been working with for months. They know I can do the job. I interviewed with them barely how many months ago. They know that I can do the job. Emphasis on can. Oh God, I'm laughing now, guys, but it wasn't funny. It wasn't funny at all. I did the written part and the spoken part, And for the spoken part, it was weird because these are the people I see every day. The people that were interviewing me were people that I see every day. They know me. They were on my last interview panel. And they were asking this almost the same questions that they asked initially. So I didn't want to repeat the same thing, like, focusing on your personality, how hard you work, and all of those other stuff. I wanted to focus on the actual work and giving like practical examples. So, for example, let's say our job is getting number 10. Oh, how will you get number 10 on the system? Like, oh yeah, you just load up the calculator and you either do 8 plus 2 to get 10 or 5 plus 5 to get 10. I was giving actual real examples, actual answers based on the internal policies, processes, and procedures that I was doing every day. But anyway, guys, I finished the interview at 1 o'clock and then I go for lunch and then I come back like 30 minutes after and I see a call from my manager. In my head, I was like, okay, that was fast. But, anyway, I call her back and then she says, unfortunately, Abiola, you did not get the job.
I'm sorry. Come again?
And you know what excuse they gave me? She actually told me that I performed the best in the written assessment, but someone scored higher in the spoken part. Basically, someone waffled better than I did. So let me get this straight. I gave clear, practical answers based on the job I was already doing. Meanwhile, someone else just talked more, and that's why they got the job. Make it make sense.
The math ain't mathin'.
Oh, and get this, guys. The person they hired had no prior experience in the role. And guess who had to train them? Me. Moi. This is not the end. It gets worse. Okay, guys, before I go further, I have to say it was really hurtful and it was embarrassing because all my colleagues, my teammates, they thought I was for sure going to get the role. Like, they were all so surprised and shocked. Like, what? You did not get the role? And I felt really bad because it made me feel for a moment that I wasn't good enough and maybe I wasn't doing a good job and all of that. But me, I don't like to act the victim. I always say to people in this country, you face things, people might try to victimize you, but never see yourself as a victim of anything. You are a survivor. But anyway, back to the story. A few weeks later, like a month, another permanent position opens up because there was a lady that was on maternity leave and she informed them that she wasn't coming back. And we were informed that instead of re-advertising the role because they had just finished recruiting, they will go back into the poll and offer it to someone. And yeah, you would think they would offer it to the runner-up from the last interview, aka me, right? Nope.
Absolutely not. It's not gonna happen.
Instead, they just quietly gave it to someone else, another white person. And let me tell you something, even my teammates were shocked. At this point, it was confirmed that it wasn't about my skills, it wasn't about me, it wasn't about my work ethic, it was about them. So you know what I did? I was like, okay, this is nice. I still had like more than 6 months left on my contract, but I knew that I didn't want to wait there for much longer. I updated my CV, started applying to new jobs. Guys, I kid you not, every single job I applied for, that same role, I got an interview and I got multiple job offers. Like basically every job I applied to, after I did the interview, I got an offer. And during this process, when I was considering what offer I was going to go with and asking them, actually negotiating salary and all of that, something else happened at work. They needed to add salt to the injury, another slap in the face. So a colleague got promoted to a senior role, meaning a job was open. And again, they decided not to re-advertise and redo interviews. They said they were going to go back into the same applicant pool that I was in and offer the job to someone else. And the next thing I knew was they were announcing that we've offered it to this so person.
I'm sorry, what?
At this point, I had had enough. I wanted them to know that I'm not an idiot. I see what you are doing. So I emailed my manager and basically said, oh yeah, this is the third person you've picked over me, even though you told me I was like the runner-up. What's going on? And do you know what this woman had the nerve to say? She said, oh, Abiola, we did not know you were still interested in the role. Like, what? You see me every day, but you did not know I was interested, really. You could go back to the applicant pool, people that interviewed like months ago, to go and ask them, oh, are you still available? Are you still interested? But me that you see every day, you do not think to ask me a message, a call, never went the office for meetings. You did not think to ask me. And at that moment, I knew I was done. And I actually thank God for this last thing they did, because I had already accepted an offer for the same position somewhere else. But that last thing they did made me think, you know what? These people, I don't want this role anymore. I don't want this position anymore. I want a senior role. Because one of the things that my interviewers at the other places I was applying to, one of the things they said is like, oh, we can't believe you're even applying for this with your qualifications and all of that. You have a master's degree with distinction. You have all of this. You have so much experience. You know the job. So I decided that, you know what? I'm applying for a senior position. I want to be a senior officer. And that was what I did, guys. The very first application I did, the very first one that I did, it was like, I saw the day I decided I wanted to apply, the job was closing like the next day, so I quickly put in my application, and then I think 3 days after, I got an invite to interview for that senior officer role. I did a spoken part, I did a written part, I did a PowerPoint presentation, and I killed it. Like, I killed it all. Guess what? I got offered the job. So make of this story what you will. The moral of it is, yes, racism, bias, and discrimination exist. A lot is stacked against you as a person of color, but you've got this. Don't let anyone make you feel less than you are. Be confident in your ability. And honestly, I thank God for their bias, because imagine if they had given me the job. I would have settled for a position below my worth, and they probably wouldn't have promoted me for years. I would have been stuck. And guys, oh, and you want to hear the plot twist? After all that, when I finally decided to leave, they suddenly were considering extending my contract for another year because they needed more hands. Whether I was guilt or something else, we will never know. But what I do know is this: I was good enough for a fixed term role with no benefits, you know, all those perks like maternity leave, no long-term security, but I'm not good enough for a permanent position.
It doesn't make sense.
If you're my previous manager or part of the management team, I hope you take a good look at yourself. You examine your actions, your bias, and hold yourselves accountable. And to everyone else going through this, you deserve better. Don't take their nonsense. Leave as soon as you can. Keep applying, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't be where I am today with a better manager, better colleagues, a senior role, and way better pay. Also, did I mention that this person they hired had no prior experience in the role? So guess who was asked to train her? Me, I was. And the second person and the third person, I was asked to train them. It was ridiculous. Like, not good enough for the job, but good enough to train them? Like, are you joking? Are you serious? It was so insulting. The more I think about this, the angrier I get, but also the more grateful I am to God, because these people really thought they could. They tried it. They tried it. They thought they could keep me down and put me in my place. But
they ain't believe in us. God did.
Anyway, have you ever experienced workplace discrimination, racism, bias? Drop your story in the comments. Let's talk about it. And as always, watch, like, and subscribe for more real talk, because we are not letting this nonsense slide anymore. Okay? Thank you. Bye.